We've had many conversations, mostly tech and professional, but I would like to hear about your personal interests. What are you into? What kind of books you read? What are the hobbies you have?
So, as a person, I'm very undigital
Mhm.
in the sense of my hobbies are very undigital. I'm a very big gardener. So, I spend a minimum of an hour and a half every day when I'm not traveling in the garden, in the soil with my plants.
If you have to make it believable for senior management as well as the masses who are probably going to use, how do you build a case for it to say that, okay, here is the one we should go and attempt?
In my own experience, and this is not just in this organization, but in previous organizations, good ideas don't need selling. Okay?
Well said.
When they are rooted in reality and they are rooted in on the ground truth. Right?
Welcome back, everyone, to the another episode of Coffee Conversation series. Today, I'm thrilled to announce someone who really needs no formal introduction. Barti, welcome. She's the kind of a leader we all admire. In her current role as Global CIO of Suntory Beverage and Food International, part of the legendary Suntory Group, she's been leading digital strategy and IT across global markets since July 2022. But her overall professional journey is truly inspirational. Before joining Suntory, she was at Coca-Cola Group as the CIO and the global head of MarTech for over 4 years. And even before that, she spent nearly 2 decades at Procter Gamble, where she drove major digital initiatives across many regions. Beyond her impressive resume, Barti is one of the rare leaders who combines razor-sharp intellect with humility. She is deeply respected as a go-to mentor and a visionary thinker in every room she enters. She's incredibly smart. She also warm, fun to talk with, and someone who really lifts everyone around her. So today, not just hosting a CIO, I'm chatting with a mentor, a friend, and one of the most admired leaders in the global digital space. Bharti, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Jagan. It's an absolute pleasure.
Okay, so before getting into the serious topics, I've known you for like more than 2 years now. We've had many conversations, mostly tech and professional, but I would like to hear about your personal interests. What are you into? What kind of books you read? What are the hobbies you have? If you can start there.
Great. Thank you, Jagan. And absolutely, we don't often talk about who the person is behind the professional. So, as a person, I'm very undigital in the sense of my hobbies are very undigital. I'm a very big gardener. So, I spend a minimum of an hour and a half every day when I'm not traveling in the garden, in the soil with my plants. And I have hundreds of them. It is out of control these days. Okay. And the other very unusual but not so unusual hobby that I have is sourdough baking. So I actually bake bread at home. I'm a pretty typical traditional family person. So there is the husband and I, my 20-year-old, and my parents who live with me. We all live together in Singapore. So a traditional family person with a job and a very physical hobby.
Yeah. The gardener part, I can imagine. My wife is a gardener too, and it's just exhausting when they get into that. They're just in their own world. So I can imagine the
Yes.
passion. Yes. Okay. It's been around 3 years. You started with Suntory. Can you talk a little more about Suntory, its culture, because it's the legendary Suntory Group, and the kind of initiatives, that happens in Suntory, if you want to just start there.
Sure, perfect. Suntory started as a little store in Osaka over 125 years ago. And now we are this huge multinational with 3 big lines of businesses. Of course, our legendary alcohol and whiskeys that we are very famous for. A very big beverage business, which is actually our biggest business, which is where I belong. And a Suntory wellness business, which is predominantly in our home market of Japan. But we also exist in quite a few countries. A couple of things about our culture which stands out is something our founder always says, and it's called the Yattaminahare spirit. Yattaminahare is actually in the Kansai dialect of Japanese, and our official translation for it is failure is an option, fear is not. And that spirit is something all Suntorians strive to live. every day and in everything that we do. So it is a spirit of never giving up. It is a spirit of setting the bar really high and just going after difficult challenges. So whether your job is in sales, your job is in marketing, in finance, in technology, or manufacturing, it's all the same. We all bring to life this approach of Yataminari. A second culture about our organization, which is a little different from what you might see in a Western multinational, is what we call our Gemba centricity. And to bring in another Japanese word, our Seikatsha centricity. And what that means is our belief is the most important place in the organization is where the work happens. It is not where the bosses sit. It is not in the HQ or the headquarters. So it's in the factories, in the sales force, in the offices where the work actually happens. And it is about bringing that to life. It is about having that centricity of Gemba in everything that we do. So if I were to really simplify what Suntory stands for, Yataminari is what everyone knows. It's all our presentations end with the Yataminari slide. But really, Gemba orientation is probably something I would call out as a uniqueness of our organization.
Fantastic. No, and I've been privy to first-hand see it, so thank you for bringing that up. So this series that we do, there is a lot of information about AI, emerging technologies, and there's like noise in the whole. And we don't get into that because there are better people to talk about that. We don't consider ourselves as the model developers or anyone. But what we do is we've been day in day out implementing this across enterprises, right? And I do feel that the practicality of these, the implementational aspects of these are so important for the world to know. And through these series, we explore our own experiences, but also talk to people like you to get those experiences out, to be honest, right? So to start with, let's just first dwell upon what has been your common areas where you saw the advent of AI and the impact it could bring in, especially in a setup like CPG companies or in general, organizations like those.
Sure, and I agree with you. So today's conversation, Jagan, just to set expectation, will be pragmatic, not esoteric.
Yeah.
Okay, so very pragmatic. So what kind of a conversation?
Yeah.
So I'll start with I'm a believer. Okay, and when I look at the impact that AI can bring into organizations like ours, end user organizations, I look at it as a continuum. Right? On one end of the continuum is very simple personal productivity for all our employees. And then comes enterprise automation, which is really looking internal in a company and making our processes efficient. And as we go leftwards, it is really about improving our outcomes in the market. So it is about reducing our time to market, our speed to market. And then finally, it is about augmented decision making. Okay. And if I were to just pick little examples to bring this to life. So personal productivity, it's my absolute favorite way of using AI. If you look at any employee's life, and I'm sure this is true of yours too, Jagan, not everything we do is impactful in our work day. Sometimes 50% of the activities that we do in our day is just stuff one needs to do when you're in the workforce. It's neither interesting, nor is it relevant to actually what you've been hired to do, but it's just stuff you do, right? It could be as basic as booking meeting rooms. It could be itemizing your hotel bill to submit an expense report, which is an extremely delightful activity, I must say. Okay. Or it could be something like, setting your out of office message or, setting up your vacation days on the system, right? It's just stuff that enormous amount of stuff. And I think I read an article in Forbes or somewhere which talks about gray work. This is just stuff that you have to do. And for me, I always talk about, let's use AI to take that grunt work out of our employees' life. Let's just make everyone's life a little bit better. Okay. And I like to start with that because that is impactful to every single employee. And nobody needs to worry about losing their jobs or like terrible things happening to them because actually nobody really wants to do that. But it's stuff one must do. Okay. And the next one is enterprise automation. Now, automation has existed for a long time. Right? It started with basic digitization, then came robotic process automation, Now we are in the land where that automation can be a lot more intelligent, right? So whether it is about good old FMCG use cases like, auditing the retail shelf, or it is about accounts payable, what AI has actually done is it has made this automation much easier to do, okay, and much more effective. We recently did a use case in our organization related to accounts receivable. Again, mind-numbing work sometimes, right? Where every time the bank statements would come in and there was an accounts receivable, a lady who had to match every line on the bank statement with the equivalent line in the ERP. Delightful. Okay, and we put in a piece of intelligent automation which actually got that down to 5 minutes in the day. So literally she came back and said, oh my God, half my day is free. Okay, and again, it isn't like she was afraid, she was just delighted. So enterprise automation, right? And as we move leftward, that's where you start to see impact which goes beyond the productivity, right? Which is time to market. As an FMCG company, of course, marketing is one of our be-alls in the organization. And while we personally haven't done as much as I would like, okay, it is a space where I believe just time to market, whether it is evaluating what is the next product we want to launch, which flavor of juice we want to launch, or about the content that we put out in front of consumers and how fast we get to it. Okay, I think there is a very significant opportunity. And then finally, data and analytics, one of my favorite things to do. In every organization, there are micro decisions and macro decisions. Micro decisions are the little things that you have to decide, and every person's job has these little decisions you have to make. What's the next promotion to run in the store, right? What is the SKU I'm going to sell next? Or when do I change the spare part in the factory? Those are the micro decisions. The macro decisions, right? Where to play, which categories do we enter? Now, this is the realm of traditional data and analytics, or what we know as machine learning. But when you combine that with the recent advances and the reasoning models, we are seeing some absolute magic in that space. So again, I look at it as a continuum, and I think the impact can be both on the productivity side and then on the growth side. We're going after both.
So well put. I think it gives you a range of what can happen, right from anything and everything from what employee can do to affecting the organizational goals, right from the top line to time to market. So obviously all this and these discussions have taken up a lot more speed after the advent of generative AI. Everybody got excited from November 2022 onwards, and also we are now hearing agentic AI, which is giving the legs and hands to the whole generative AI thing. What is your thoughts on these technologies? Is this hype justified, especially as a business leader? How should you look at this?
Again, I'm a very pragmatic person, but as I mentioned, I'm a huge believer. And I have not always been a believer in every technology wave which has come. There are some which I will not name today, which have really puzzled me as to why are we even talking about this? But I think what has happened with generative AI and the reason it captured the imagination of the world is it suddenly made traditional AI and every technology more accessible. Right? The fact that it could be conversational and real conversational, not the traditional NLP or the slightly stupid versions of that which was there in the past. And I think it has unlocked user access. It has really captured the imagination, and just people who you never imagined would want to use. For example, my husband. He actually downloaded it on the app on his phone and used it without my prompting. And he uses it, I don't know, n times a day. So,
and he's not a technical person. So
he is not. He is definitely not a technical person. Okay, and so I think what I see with AI and Gen AI is this ability to bring access, to reduce the gap between those who are technical and those who are not. Okay. And so I do believe it eases out the pain on adoption, and it just makes things so much easier for end users. So I'm quite excited about it. Now the reasoning models are getting me a little more excited than probably I should be. And
then they're saying that this is just the beginning. I don't know what else is in store, but this is definitely very exciting.
Absolutely.
So, obviously one is to be able to appreciate the technology and what impact it can bring. but it's all another ball game when it comes to actually implementing them and making sure that it actually is, going all the way, like productionizing it and making sure users are using it, etc. I wanted to pick your brain on a couple of things with respect to that.
Yeah.
First, as a business leader, what's the case you create to first, if you have to make it believable for the senior management as well as the masses who are probably going to use, how do you build a case for it to say that, oh, here is the one we should go and attempt?
And for me, it all starts with being in the Gemba. In my own experience, and this is not just this in this organization, but in previous organizations, good ideas don't need selling. Okay?
Well said.
When they are rooted in reality and they are rooted in on the ground truth. Right? So, the first step is to be really, really in touch with the people who are doing work in the organization. What sometimes tends to happen is if you have a purely leadership conversation, you're already in significant la la land, because a lot of us have been it's been so many years since we actually did work ourselves. You kind of forget what it's like. You kind of forget how hard it is sometimes, right? And so my first step and my approach, and I'm constantly nagging my folks to be out there in the Gemba with your end users, listening to them, shadowing them, watching them as they work. So you understand what are their unmet needs, right? And what are those real, there are some accepted beliefs that people have, like this is just how it's going to be, and really understand. So Gemba, as our fearless CEO says, okay, that's my first and most important part. And then all my boardroom conversations are grounded in the Gemba conversations, which has made everything very easy because people really get it. Did I also do a few little very quick proofs of concepts? Of course, right? Because people have to have reason to believe. Right?
Seeing is believing.
We do have that. Okay, which brings me to my second point, which is architecting for success. Okay, and it is very important to be pragmatic. You don't just do little things one after the other, but on the other side, you don't go into building one humongous infrastructure with very little output. So Jagan, allow me to tell a really bad joke, okay? Because this metaphor talks about how technology is well done. And I often say, doing IT is like a bathroom experience. Here we go. So you need really good plumbing and you need really good fixtures. So imagine a bathroom. Awesome plumbing, not so clean fixtures. Particularly as a woman, I'm very sensitive to it. That's not a bathroom you want to use. Now flip it over. Gold-plated fixtures. Okay, you have the absolute most modern bathroom fixtures. And the plumbing backs up. Not quite the bathroom experience. And I say that's really what my job is like. It is about constantly balancing the plumbing you need, the technology, the things people don't see. All the way from identity to networks to the cloud, the hyperscaler you pick, the platform that you have underneath. And then the fixtures, the user experience you're building, the applications you're building, how it talks. My integration layer is part of my plumbing, right? And it is this constant balancing act of doing both concurrently. If I spend far too much time only on plumbing, my users have already gone. And if I'm only building little fixtures with the plumbing which is backing up, the user experience is gone again. So it is about striking this balance. So to reiterate, start with the user, architect for success is my second
principle.
My second principle. The third point I want to make is on communication training and upskilling the user base.
I was just going to ask about that. Yes, please.
Okay, it's a critical element of success. Early days, even I fell into the trap of thinking, it's Gen AI. Come on, they'll figure it out. That's not quite true. So what we had to do is we are running a program which we call Manabi no Michi. Manabi no Michi is a slightly poetic Japanese name that we've given the program, and it means path of learning. And what we are essentially doing is it's a collection of face-to-face training and roadshows, on-demand e-learning, but also bite-sized learning. So it's a combination of all three. We're going across every realm of technology of course, we are doing Gen AI and the solutions we have built, but also generically.
Yeah.
We're doing very basic infrastructure training on how do you use Microsoft Teams and things like that, but also enterprise applications.
Yeah.
How do you use all the enterprise applications effectively? So we're doing this road shows, on-demand training, lots of communication. And I worked with my peer group to make sure that they understood, they participated, and they led from the front. So far, the feedback has been very encouraging. Our first version, which we did last year, was great. This year is even better. We've run it so far this year, 25, for about 3 months. We've already reached over 2,000 Suntorians, and with a feedback score which is between 4.4 and 4.5, which on a wide base is really quite predictable. So quite excited about this whole Manavi Navichi.
Yeah.
And final point, I never miss this point. It doesn't matter what you do at your work, but discipline and measurement, right? You see me, I talk about these training scores. I count, I weekly track adoption of my tools. I log in and check, right? Discipline in everything you do and applying the same discipline to the way we launch products in market to what we do internally. So I would say these 4 things is my magic.
Yeah. No, actually, and I've again first-hand thing to it. So I know, I actually recall one example where one fine day you actually called me and told, just give me the numbers. I built the Power BI report myself. I'll figure it out. I'll see the adoption myself. So I know what it means to you when you're talking about all of this, and that's why I thought I was going to explicitly ask this. Thanks for diving in through. Obviously, a little bit of background in terms of how we started working together. I remember the time when we got one RFP about building an employee productivity chatbot, and of course a portal along with it. And for us, we thought that it was going to be a standard because we've implemented some such things before. The gentleman who was representing Suntory at that time, remember, told me this, that if you were to basically make your case, just don't show many slides, show what that actually does. So they wanted to see it actually working and believing. And I guess I still remember from that time to now, I enjoyed the conversations with you and generally with Suntory, because it's always been, doesn't matter, all the talk is not as important, just concentrate on what's the outcome going to be. So what were your experiences having worked with Acuvate, and it would be great to hear from you.
Absolutely. So I think it's over 2 years, and I will be perfectly honest, when I joined Suntory, I had not heard of Acuvate. And so that RFP went out to 3 partners who had never worked with, just like pull them out of the air, right? And so it was very interesting. And for me, I would call out really 3 things. And Jagan, don't let it get to your head, okay? But 3 things which I really want to call out about Acuvate, which I've enjoyed. The first one is the technical thought leadership. And that, I think, I also want to call you out personally, Jagan, for putting in your time. At your position, you don't have to do that, but you do, right? And I know you're always accessible when I have these strange questions at strange times of the day. And so the technical thought leadership and the ability to make the difficult easy for me and my organization to understand. Right? The second one, which is very important for me, is the strong continuity in the Acuvate teams. And it is not something which is easy in the industry we operate in. Right? It's a very dynamic market.
It's a happy coincidence, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot to do with the way you treated the team too. So it's not all of these things have to come together for some such thing to happen.
Correct. So, and we really appreciate the continuity of some of the engineers who've been with us since right from the beginning when we started. So we all share that same shared context, which makes life so much easier. Okay. And the third one, which I want to really call out, is pragmatic delivery, which allows us to keep costs under control. And I mean, I'm an enterprise CIO. It's difficult sometimes, right? You suddenly hit budget issues. And so the way delivery is done, right, which is very pragmatic and which is very outcome oriented, is something I appreciate. But really what all this has done is, consequently, the trust between our teams is very high. It's not just me. This is a trust which goes
all the way
down and up, and I really appreciate that. And so in my mind, Acuvate's really an extension of my own team, and I don't see a difference. Right? There are days when I just ping Shri. Right? If I can't find my own, then Sakshi, then I'll just ping Shri. Okay. And I must call out this. as a female leader.
Yeah.
I'm very, very pleased to see the number of
Yeah.
young female engineers I have on our squad. Okay.
I don't see gender.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, but that is of course another point I just wanted to shout out.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
I've been in the services industry all the way, ma'am. This is my 25th year in this industry. Worked with very big companies and very interesting. The few people who strike me and inspired me. You're definitely one of those. Thank you for the constant motivation and thanks for doing this.
You're most welcome and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.